Our guitar heroes use chord tone soloing within the pentatonic scale, so we can easily add some chord tone magic to our guitar solos today. In this video, I will answer 3 questions. What are chord tones? Why should we target chord tones? And how to use chord tones to improvise an awesome solo with confidence. This is a simple, fun concept. So grab your guitar and let's create some chord tone magic. I neglected looking at chord tones for years. I felt like it was too much work. The older we get, the more we want simple. And I promise you can do this. We're going to use an E blues rock progression for these examples today, but these ideas are movable and they will work in any key. So a blues rock progression in E, E7, A9, and B9. I'll leave a link in the description for this addictive backing track. It's awesome once you start improvising over it. So first off, what are chord tones? In simple terms, it just means using the notes in the chords. For E7, E, C sharp and B, and D is the flat 7. So why should we target chord tones? By targeting the notes in the chords, you will sound connected and you'll be very confident when you improvise. So let's get to what this video is really about. So how can we use chord tones in context? I will teach you how to use some of these ideas over a backing track. So I told you this would be easy. Check this out. We're going to use the structure of the E minor pentatonic scale. So for E7, A9, and B9, most of those chord tones are already in the minor pentatonic scale. So for the E7 chord, we just need to add one note to the minor pentatonic and we have access to all the chord tones in that chord. And that is a G sharp note. 13th fret of the G string, there's one. And 11 on the A string, there's another one. And a great way to use this in context is to slide up to it a half step. Right to the root note. Full bend there, and 15 is an E note. Just sounds, it just grabs the chord. Stay with me, I'll show you how to use these in context coming right up here. But going to the A9 chord, we just have to add one note to the minor pentatonic to have all those chord tones also. And that's a C sharp note, which is right there. 11 on D string, and then 14 on the B string. And again, a great way is to use that little half step slide. 1 fret. Right to that root note E, but it's also a chord tone that's in the A9 chord. And we can walk right down. 14, 12, 11 is that C sharp note. You can hear the chord. And for the B9 chord, there's 2 notes that aren't in the minor pentatonic, and I'll show you how to use those. And it's the F sharp note, 14 here on the E string, and also 16 on the B string is a D sharp. And again, a great way to use this is to slide up. You can actually slide up on both of these notes as a B9 comes over, and the same with the A9. You can do it on E. So let me show you this little cool blues walk down. So sliding from 15 to 16 on the B string, then hitting 14 on the E string, then walking chromatically. 16, 15, 14, and then 16 on the G string. And you can do the same thing on the A. So 13 to 14, hitting 12 on the E string, then walk down 14, 13, 12, and then 14 on the G string is back to the A note here. Then you can rock this little lick here as you're going back to the E. So 14 on the D string, a double stop here on 14 of the G and B strings, then hitting the D string on 14, kind of rock back and forth. So right here, then hammer on. You're barring 12 here on the G and B strings and hammering on the 13 of the G string. And then hitting the B and E strings on 12. Again, I'll leave a link in the description for this great backing track. The notes that we add to the minor pentatonic are just some target notes, but we still want to use the minor pentatonic as a walk down as we go through the cycle of the chords. So rocking right down the minor pentatonic basically, 12, 15, 12, then using the blue note from 15 to 14, you slide down, then 12, 14 on the D string. And doing that same lick I showed you. Just, you can use that a lot in a progression like this. And just leading into it, really using that minor pentatonic, 14, 12, 14 on the D string, and then a double stop on the G and B strings on 12. And just that little bend there. It's a bluesy thing to do because you're almost to this tone here. And back to the root note, E. There's a lot of things you can do with that type of lick. As it goes to A, because the C sharp note is right here on 14 of the B string, and then you have the E note here, which is part of the A9 chord. So hammering on from 12 to 14, then hitting 12 on the E string, and then hitting 14 on the B string. Just really hugs that chord. And then right before it's going back to E, you're hitting, when you bend a full tone up, you're hitting an A note. So full bend on 15, then hitting 15, and back to the root note on the E string here. And then you can do that walk down again. And then you can add that little chromatic thing I showed you earlier. evolving. You know, as it turns around, it's going back to the B9 chord. You can easily use this double stop on the G and B strings on the 12th fret, then hitting the root note in 14 of the D string, and then 12 on the D, 14 on the A string. You can really use the pentatonic scale to your advantage. I hope this lesson pushes you a little farther out of your comfort zone, because you'll start to connect some ideas together and be a lot more confident. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me today, and happy jamming.